Everyone in Jing City knew that I was a gold digger who married into the Fu family for Fu Xing's money. However, Fu Xing's heart belonged solely to his first love, the one who had angrily broken up with him after Fu's mother offered her 500,000 to leave. So when Chen Wei joined Fu Corporation, some busybodies in our social circle started a betting pool at a bar, guessing how long it would take for Fu Xing to kick me out. Some said 3 months, others said 6 months. I had initially planned to do my best to salvage both my marriage and my finances, but then I saw Fu Xing, usually so cold and aloof, turn a rare, delighted gaze toward his new female secretary. That's when my plans suddenly changed. Losing a man was one thing, but losing money? Absolutely not. Right after that, I headed straight to the bar and bet 30 million. I'll bet on 1 month. How could anyone not love money? I was incredibly curious about this first love of his. So the very next day after hearing the news, I stormed into Fu Corporation, ready to check her out. Fu Xing was in the middle of a meeting with a business partner in his office. When he saw me come in, his expression didn't change. I was used to it. My husband just had that cold face. What could I do? He was handsome and rich, so I just had to spoil him. I had just sat down when the unfamiliar female secretary beside him accidentally spilled coffee. Of course, it landed right on the shirt I had picked out for Fu Xing that morning. The secretary remained calm. She skillfully took out another shirt from the inner office that I had never seen before and lifted her chin slightly. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Fu. Please change into this one." Despite the mishap in front of a client, Fu Xing didn't blame her. He simply took the shirt and went inside to change. Coming out, he adjusted his collar while walking, glanced at his reflection in the glass, and casually asked the secretary, "How do I look?" "Not bad." Their eyes met in tacit understanding, and they shared a slight smile. Oh ho! I could smell the stench of an affair. Before I could even close the door and confront him, Fu Xing had already gotten up and headed to the meeting room with the client. In my 8-centimeter heels, I stomped angrily behind the oblivious Fu Xing, but couldn't keep up with them. Finally, I was stopped by the cold, unfeeling female secretary outside the meeting room door. "Miss Liu, the company has important meetings today. None of us are as idle as you, so we don't have time to entertain you. After all, for those of us here trying to prove our worth through our own efforts, time must be spent on things meaningful to Fu Corporation. And besides," a hint of mockery curled on her lips, "you rely on Fu Corporation for your livelihood, don't you?" I stared at this legendary, unyielding, proud, and strong-willed first love, and let out a soft hiss. Miss Liu? Prove her worth through her own efforts? What a face, treating capital like dirt, proclaiming independence and self-reliance. When I agreed to the marriage alliance with Fu Xing, I knew he had a first love in his heart. Unfortunately, this first love came from a poor family and was extremely proud and strong-willed. Unable to bear Fu's mother's constant, she resolutely left Fu Xing. For this, Fu Xing had pined for her for years. Even on our wedding night, he slept in the guest room, holding the cheap scarf she had knitted for him. I scoffed, turned around, and went to sleep in my fragrant, 6-figure silk duvet. I slept straight through until the next evening, when my friends dragged me out to continue the pre-wedding bachelorette party that had started 2 days earlier. It wasn't until the 4th day that I learned Fu Xing had fled abroad on a business trip to avoid me, gone for 3 months. The news that Fu Xing didn't welcome me spread. Everyone in Jing City's wealthy circles knew that the most beautiful daughter of the minor Liu family, who had eagerly tried to marry into the Fu family, couldn't even keep Fu Xing home on her wedding night. What a monumental disgrace. I gritted my teeth, staring lustfully at Fu Xing's broad shoulders, narrow waist, and 8-pack abs. I found an opportunity to put some enhancement medicine in his teacup. We spent an inseparable, passionate night. The next morning, Fu Xing woke up furious, lashing out uncontrollably. "Lu Zhao Zhao. Do you have any sense of shame? This is coercion. This is..." I crossed my legs and glanced at his furious face. "TSK. Fu Xing, this is your duty as a husband, understand? Besides, didn't you enjoy it last night? Fuxing was humiliated and enraged. I'm warning you, Lu Zhaozhao, if there's a next time, I'll cut off investment in the Lu Corporation. Hearing that, I immediately backed down and quickly made myself scarce. Fine, no sex then. Anyway, the experience wasn't that great. I, Lu Zhaozhao, feared nothing but having no money. After all, to get me married to Fuxing, my father had reluctantly given up a full 30% of the company's shares. Threatening me with that was hitting me right where it hurt. Since the Lu Corporation's crisis wasn't over yet, and I was still dependent on Fuxing's support, angering him was pointless. I had to lie low and bide my time. And so, 2 years of my marriage to Fuxing passed. The numbers in my bank account skyrocketed daily. Although a life with money but without love was filled with a kind of, it was infinitely better than those years when, at age 3, I was sent to the countryside by my entrepreneurial parents, and as a little girl, I had to brave wind and rain, kneeling at doorsteps to beg for money to pay for my grandmother's 500 yuan medical bills. I had truly had enough of the anxiety each year when tuition was due. I was truly afraid of seeing my grandmother tremblingly pull out crumpled bills, one by one, from her old box. From a very young age, I thought that in the future, I might not have love, might lose, but I absolutely, positively had to have money. To be fair, I had sincerely wanted to make things work with Fuxing. That is, if this first love of his hadn't shown up at my house tonight. When Chenwei delivered the ruined shirt to our door, she still had that chin lifted, neither humble nor pushy demeanor. Mr. Fu, just tell me how much it costs. I'll pay you back in full. Fuxing had just come out of the shower, wearing a casual bathrobe. Seeing her standing at the door, he paused briefly, then gently reassured her. It's okay. If it's ruined, it's ruined. 35,000. Cash or transfer? I stepped out from behind him, took the shirt from her hand, and watched her face instantly turn pale with a half-smile. Can't afford it? No problem, you can deduct it from your monthly salary. You're going too far, Lu Zhaozhao. Do you need that 35,000? Didn't you see Xiaowei was about to cry just now? You spend more than 35,000 on a casual piece of clothing, but for her, it's several months' salary. She comes from a poor family, she has a sick grandmother to support. How do you expect her to live after this? As soon as the door closed, Fuxing's anger rivaled the time 2 years ago when I had forced myself on him. I sat down gracefully and began admiring my freshly done nails. I really don't need that 35,000, but why should I pay for someone else's mistake? Besides, did I cause her family's poverty? If you know you can't afford to make mistakes in your own life, you should be even more careful with everything you do, whether it's with men or with work. Fuxing was speechless for a moment, then muttered, unreasonable, and went upstairs to his study, slamming the door loudly behind him. I just lowered my eyes to look at the wrinkled, ruined shirt. Fuxing seemed to have forgotten that 2 years ago, he had a skin allergy and couldn't even wear custom fabrics comfortably. I had gone to an old tailor in Suzhou to get the silk, which has an annual limited supply, and made it for him myself, stitch by stitch. Although my carefully manicured fingers were covered in pinpricks, seeing the rare delight in Fuxing's eyes had made all that fussy, hands-on effort feel worthwhile. After that, our marriage had indeed gained a little bit of sweetness. If Chenwei hadn't appeared, I would never have known that Fuxing, who was always cold as ice to me and whose smiles felt like charity, could actually be so agreeable. I never knew that his gaze could so often hold delight without any effort. Fuxing's gentle, soothing voice filtered faintly from behind his closed door. It was low, but exceptionally disturbing. I couldn't help but snort, picked up the shirt, crumpled it into a ball, and tossed it into the trash can with a thud. A gift that isn't cherished is meaningless, no matter the effort put into it. Only money is truly loyal, it belongs to whoever holds it. The next day, I perked up and went out shopping with my friends. When I returned home laden with bags, I was startled to find Chenwei in my house. She was wearing a simple cotton dress, her hair tied up low, understated and gentle, with an apron tied around her waist. She was just bringing a freshly made peanut and spare ribs soup out of the kitchen. I stared in shock at Fuxing, who was reviewing documents on the sofa, trying to remember if I had lost some memory. Did I miss something? How did you two get to the coming right into the house stage? Chen Wei's eyes reddened instantly. She lifted her chin and demanded coldly. Miss Liu, just because you have money, do you think you can bully people like this? You're insulting my character and dignity. Fuxing flipped through the documents with a cold expression, not even glancing at me. Because of that 35,000, you pushed Xiaowei to the point where she has to deliver food part-time. Riding a bike is dangerous. Anyway, you weren't happy with the last auntie, so let Xiaowei take over. Please rest assured, Miss Liu. Chen Wei resumed her neither humble nor pushy demeanor. I will definitely pay back that 35,000 as soon as possible. I won't owe you for long. Humph. I glanced at the soup on the table. Before you came, did you even bother to find out that I don't like peanuts? Chen Wei paused briefly, then resumed her expressionless, professional face. But Mr. Fu likes them. If Miss Liu doesn't like it, you can eat something else. I also stir-fried some greens. Tisk, I clapped my hands lightly. So, the 35,000 you're repaying me is coming from the fee for taking care of my husband? Chen Wei was taken aback. You. Enough. Fuxing stood up, his expression ugly. Chen Wei is here because I asked her to be. If you have a problem, take it up with me. Why make things difficult for her? Fuxing. She suddenly appeared at Fu Corporation, and now she's barged into our home. She's up to no good. I was a bit angry, but a cold sneer suddenly flickered across Fuxing's face. Do you think all women are like you, Lu Zhaozhao? Don't forget why you married me in the first place. I'm the one in charge of the Fu family and Fu Corporation now, including your little Lu Corporation. The air fell into silence. After a long moment, I suddenly laughed out loud. Fine. You're in charge. You two enjoy your meal at home. I'm going out for hot pot. With that, I turned and left, ignoring Fuxing's frozen expression. But out of the corner of my eye, I saw Chen Wei standing there, casting a mocking glance my way. Feeling depressed, I drove for a while before pulling over by the roadside. I couldn't explain why, but watching Fuxing defend Chen Wei made my chest feel hollow, made it hard to breathe. It hurt. I took out my phone. The screen was clean, just one message from the hospital with MY results. I scrolled through it idly. When I got to the gynecology section, my eyes widened. The result. At that moment, my lower abdomen began to ache faintly, as if something was indeed taking root inside. This child. Its timing was terrible, and yet perfect. Because I had, truly, imagined having a child with Fuxing. Before we married, I had seen Fuxing once. It was the year before I turned 12, when my miraculously successful entrepreneurial parents finally brought me to Jing City. He had come with the Fu Corporation to sponsor our rural elementary school, helping distribute supplies. Fuxing was an 18-year-old youth then, but he was composed, graceful, and so handsome it was delightful. I saw him at once, and I remembered him at once. So later, when my parents proposed using me and Lu Corporation's most profitable businesses to secure a marriage alliance with Fuxing, I agreed. But he had always been cold to me. And since marrying into the Fu family was inherently tied to interests, I never had a chance to pour my heart out to him. I never had a chance to tell him that I'd had a crush on him since I was 12. Thinking about it now, it was quite a pity. Then I thought again, she was the one who dumped him back then. So why should I meekly step aside just because she's back now? If anyone should leave, it should be that expired first love. With that thought, I quickly turned the car around and drove back aggressively. As soon as I opened the door, I saw Chen Wei standing in the entryway, having tidied the house perfectly, as if waiting for me. Seeing me enter with a displeased expression, a knowing look appeared on her face. Fuxing finished his meal and went out to meet a business partner. Miss Liu, you underestimate people. Did you think I would try to seduce Fuxing while you were gone? I'm not like you, willing to do anything for money. Otherwise, you wouldn't be Mrs. Fu. but a woman like you, who can only survive by relying on Fuxing, must be terrified of losing him, right? She laughed softly, mockingly. Oh, by the way, do you and Fuxing sleep in separate beds? When I was tidying the bedroom, I noticed the other side of your bed looks very new. Ignoring her, I strode inside and surveyed the spotlessly clean living room. As luck would have it, a used gilded coffee cup was left on the coffee table. I couldn't help but snort coldly. Then I picked up that cup, the apron she had used, and the hair clip she had deliberately left on the coffee table, and tossed them all into the trash. Sorry, Chinwei, you're fired. I don't welcome people who use these personal belongings without permission, nor do I welcome people who spend their time staring at whether someone else's husband sleeps in the master bedroom. Oh, and that coffee cup I just threw away cost 15,000. Please compensate me promptly, or I won't rule out calling the police. Chinwei's calm facade finally cracked. Her face flushed red with anger. On what grounds? This is Fuxing's place. What right do you have to kick me out? I unceremoniously pushed her out the door. On the grounds that I am Mrs. Fu. Night fell, and rain began to pour. Chinwei stubbornly refused to leave, standing outside the villa. I sat comfortably on the second-floor terrace, sipping coffee, until Fuxing rushed back frantically. Seeing his proud first love, who had never softened in front of him before, now roughly pushed outside with unshed tears in her eyes, he was furious. He looked up and shot me a vicious glare. Then, without hesitation, he took off his suit jacket, draped it over Chinwei, and carefully helped her into the car. Suddenly, I remembered. In 2 years of marriage, Fuxing had never let me ride in his car. I always drove myself everywhere. Once, out in the suburbs, a rainstorm cut off all traffic. Terrified by the roadside, I sobbed and called him, but before I could even finish speaking, he hung up. So this was the difference between love and not love. My phone suddenly rang frantically. My rarely seen mother's voice blasted through the speaker, full of accusations. The finance department at Lu Corporation says Fuxing just cut off the funding. As soon as the news got out, Lu Corporation's stock started dropping. What exactly did you do to offend him? I was silent for a moment. Before, when I annoyed Fuxing, he often threatened me like this, but he had never actually done it. For him to move so quickly this time, it seemed I had really touched a nerve. Oh. I said slowly, without much sincerity, I'll figure something out. She sighed, putting on a show of concern. Zhao Zhao, be serious. You're about to inherit the family business. Lu Corporation can't have problems. Besides, Lu Corporation pays you a decent dividend every month. Keeping him happy is just keeping your own cash cow happy, isn't it? Even if there are some other women around, with your looks, can't you handle them? I thought about it. It seemed I really couldn't. Or rather, Fuxing had never liked me in the first place. After hanging up, I sighed deeply. See, I told you, only money matters in this world. When I was little, they took my newborn and left for Jing City to start a business. We never saw them again, and no money ever came back. My grandmother and I lived on her meager. When she got sick, it hit hard. There was no money in the house, and I couldn't reach them no matter how I tried. I had to go door to door begging the villagers. Only after much struggle did I scrape together the medical fees to take her to the hospital. That experience became an obsession for me. People need money. Otherwise, you lose your life. After wallowing in self-pity for 10 minutes, I picked up my phone, put on my sunglasses, and headed straight to the bar. I'd heard they had a secret betting pool on when Fuxing would kick me out. Better I win that money than let someone else have it. Amidst the noisy, glitzy bar, I swiped my card with 30 million. I bet on 1 month. That night at home, I started planning how to propose divorce to Fuxing in the most advantageous way. The timing had to be when I was clearly the wronged party. The setting absolutely had to be a 3-way showdown. That way, I could demand a hefty alimony and walk away clean. As for the child, I decided I would keep it. With Fushings in my genes, it would definitely be smart and beautiful. As long as I had money, raising it wouldn't be a problem. Oh, and before the divorce, I also needed to spend all the remaining pocket money in my bank account. I could also revive the negotiations for the contract with Xingyin that had fallen through before, the one I had my friend set up for Fuxing's sake. Xingyin's CEO, Zhoushan, had a grudge against Fuxing. The two companies never cooperated. Unfortunately for Fu Corporation, Xingyin was more powerful and its business scope covered every industry, costing Fu Corporation a lot of potential profit. Fuxing had wanted to make amends, but Zhoushan wouldn't engage. The first time I approached Zhoushan about the contract was at his club. His handsome face held a casual, teasing smile. I heard you only married Fuxing for his money. I have more money than him, and I understand beautiful women better. Why don't you divorce him, and I'll give you the contract? I stood up angrily. Dream on. Over the years, I had learned a thing or two managing things at Lu Corporation. I had originally wanted to show off in front of Fuxing, to surprise him by securing the Xingyin deal for Fu Corporation. Too bad. But now, Zhoushan's proposal seemed like an opportunity. And besides, Lu Corporation, where I own nearly a third of the shares, could also take on this contract, right? The invitation from the Secretariat for the Fu Corporation annual meeting arrived. In the past, since Fuxing never mentioned it, I couldn't be bothered to go. But this time, with that tenacious little white flower in attendance, I had to go and be an eyesore. As soon as I arrived at the venue, I saw Fuxing giving his speech on stage. Sorry, Miss Lu. I heard you haven't attended the annual meeting for the past 2 years, so your seat this year has been given to Vice President Su's wife. Chen Wei stood there, expressionless, with a businesslike attitude. I stared at the expensive ruby necklace deliberately displayed on her neck. What a coincidence. Fuxing had recently been to an auction house in the UK. One of the items up for bid was this ruby necklace. I glanced inside the venue and said calmly, no problem. Just tell her to move. Chen Wei was stunned. But... Or do you think, I said with a faint smile, that Vice President Su's wife is more important than Mrs. Fu? If that's the case, tomorrow I'll have to ask the Fu Corporation board when Fuxing's position can be vacated for Vice President Su too. Or is it that you, the chief secretary who prides herself on, can't even handle such a basic task? Chen Wei choked, a flicker of subtle resentment in her eyes. Understood. Please wait a moment. I nodded. Oh, and I'll have orange juice today. Thank you. Chen Wei quickly cleared the seat. Soon after, she brought the orange juice. Quite sensible, I thought with amusement, taking a sip. Nice necklace. It's so expensive, you must have really demonstrated your personal value to get it. But just a friendly reminder, every penny Fuxing spends is part of our marital assets. What I mean is, even if Fuxing and I divorce one day, I'll have to take half of that necklace too. So you'd better keep it in good condition. Chen Wei's face changed. She gritted her teeth, humiliated and furious. Lu Zhao, what are you so pleased about? You're just picking up my leftovers. If I hadn't broken up with Fuxing back then, do you think you'd have any chance of being Mrs. Fu, any chance to boss me around here? Just watch. Between you and me, Fuxing will choose me. Just like with that shirt you picked out. No matter how expensive, Fuxing will still wear the one I bought him. My expression was calm, but when I saw the faint reddish powder residue on her fingers, I was suddenly alarmed. Peanut powder? I grabbed Chen Wei's hand and demanded angrily, what did you put in my orange juice? Everyone in the Fu Corporation Secretariat should know that I have a severe peanut allergy. I can't have even a trace. Especially now that I'm pregnant. What could I have put in it? Pressed by me, Chen Wei's aggrieved voice suddenly grew louder. Mrs. Fu! You forced me to give up my seat, and I did. You asked me to get you orange juice, and I did. And now you're falsely accusing me of putting something in it? What have I ever done to make you dislike me so much? People at the event turned to look, whispering among themselves. Even Fuxing on stage paused. I couldn't help but sneer. The Fu Corporation Secretariat knows the dietary restrictions of every Fu family member by heart. Last time you made peanut and spare ribs soup at home, and now what's that on your hands? What exactly are you up to? You know best. Chenwei looked as if she had been terribly wronged, her eyes instantly reddening. Mrs. Fu, you can use your authority to fire me, but you cannot slander me. I have nothing to hide. If you think I put an allergen in your orange juice, then have it tested. Fuxing had already tensely walked off the stage and called someone over. Then test it. Mr. Fu, I am willing to undergo any examination right here. Chenwei's righteous indignation startled me. But that was clearly peanut powder, I couldn't be mistaken. Unless... I looked up and caught a fleeting smugness on Chenwei's face. She deliberately let me see the peanut powder on her hands, leading me to misunderstand, and then blew the situation up to embarrass me publicly. Realizing the whole scheme, my face paled. Just then, the person Fuxing had instructed finished testing the orange juice. Mr. Fu, there are no allergens in the juice. Dead silence fell over the crowd. The truth is clear for everyone to see, Mrs. Fu. If you really can't stand me being by Mr. Fu's side, just say so. I'll leave immediately and never come back. As she spoke, Chenwei started to remove her employee badge from her neck, but Fuxing stopped her. You don't have to leave. Fuxing turned to me. Apologize. Lu Zhaozhao, apologize to Xiaowei. Otherwise, I'll pull the third round of investment from Lu Corporation immediately. You married me for these 3 rounds of investment. I think you wouldn't want to fail when you're so close, would you? A strange pain stabbed my heart. I looked sharply at Fuxing, trying to explain. Fuxing, you know why I'm so... It doesn't matter. Fuxing coldly cut me off. I'm not interested in why you're so worked up over a glass of orange juice. This is Fu Corporation's annual meeting. You have no right to humiliate and falsely accuse my secretary like this. I want you to apologize to Xiaowei. Now. I stopped short, staring at Fuxing. No matter the reason, it doesn't matter? Yes. Fuxing answered without hesitation. After a long silence, I let out a long breath and looked at Fuxing standing beside Chenwei. Fine. I apologize. Mrs. Fu, I do not accept your apology. Chenwei lifted her chin, her eyes red-rimmed, but her tone righteous. I came to Fu Corporation only to prove my own abilities. Please don't project your own motives onto me. I also hope that in the future, you won't use the power you obtained by to bully people like us. One by one, slowly, everyone started applauding Chenwei. I stood quietly, watching them, led by Fuxing, standing opposite me, some cold, some mocking, some gloating. Suddenly, I felt utterly drained. The incident at the Fu Corporation annual meeting spread quickly. Everyone suddenly treated Chenwei with kid gloves. Since Fuxing had forced Mrs. Fu to apologize publicly, who would dare make things unpleasant for her at Fu Corporation? The rumors of my impending divorce from Fuxing swirled alongside gossip about him and Chenwei. The expensive ruby necklace was also unearthed. Tisk, Lu Zhaozhao was married to Fuxing for 2 years, and no one ever saw him give her anything. But as soon as his first love appears, Fuxing can't wait to bid on that ruby necklace for her. The contrast is so obvious. What do you know? Lu Zhaozhao was a marriage of convenience. Fuxing and Chenwei were lovers since youth. They separated due to circumstances. Fuxing never liked someone like Lu Zhaozhao, who only has eyes for money. I heard from Sister Wei that she didn't even want to accept the necklace at first, but when they were young, Fuxing promised to find her the most brilliant gem. After all these years, he still found a way to keep his promise. Do you think he could ever forget Sister Wei? Wow, that's so sweet. When will that interloper Lu Zhaozhao get kicked out? Tisk, why would she leave? She's just making a fuss now. If they really divorce, won't she be begging Mr. Fu to take her back? While gossip about the two of them ran rampant at Fu Corporation, Lu Corporation's stock kept falling. In just 1 week, I had quietly bought up a batch of shares at low prices. My stake in Lu Corporation now exceeded my father's. When Fuxing's third round of investment finally arrived safely in Lu Corporation's account, the weight on my heart finally lifted. Late that night, I picked up the divorce agreement and walked into Fuxing's study. Sign this. Fuxing looked up slightly, glanced at the agreement. A flicker of barely perceptible anger passed through his eyes. Lu Zhaozhou, ever since I made you apologize to Xiaowei at the annual meeting, you've been throwing tantrums, disappearing all day, not even talking to me. I've tolerated all of that. I held back Lu Corporation's funds for a while, but I still released them, didn't I? Everything you have now, I gave you. Isn't this what you wanted? Now that Qinwei is around, how does it affect you? What right do you have to be dissatisfied? Or do you think your position in this marriage is so important that you believe I wouldn't dare sign? I tilted my head slowly, looking at him. Fuxing, I never realized before how